Chris Paul officially donning his new Rockets attire. He'll wear number 3. He's got a big smile. He's happy in Houston, considering having no problems whatsoever with Paul in the house, and you're in our house. Welcome to Atlanta. It is our game time right here, live with you, Casey Stern, Coach John Thompson III. Coach, CP3, we're used to seeing him in that Clipper uni. Now we got him in Houston, and we get to finally see this thing play out.
We are, and I, for one, am very excited to see how it plays out. I'm maybe in the minority in that I don't think there's going to be that big of an issue with CP3 and Harden playing together.
Well, they're both pretty good players, according to what you read in the papers. CP3 pretty happy. Here he is in his first official day as a Rocket.
If you would have asked me some years ago or a little while ago if I would have ever left LA, I probably would have said no. You know, and the timing, you know, change is inevitable. I'm glad this decision was made, like with my family and everybody, and we talked about it. And I haven't been as excited about probably basketball in a while, to tell you the truth. It's just, you know, it's a new start. It's a fresh start. And I don't know, the timing couldn't be better for myself along with James. I'll never shoot another mid-range shot a day in my life.
As soon as he comes in, it's going to change his game totally.
Yeah.
Right? Real smart.
I think what you do is you take the open shot, you know, whatever's there, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
There's also exceptions to the rule. His mid-game is the best in the league.
That's my layup.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't change something or fix something that's not broken. That's the best.
We talked about the ultimate goal, and that's winning, you know, and that's winning. And neither one of us have had an opportunity to do that, you know, and we talked about, you know, how good that would feel. And that's probably what I'm most excited about, is to be on this journey with somebody else who wants it as bad as I do. You know, so it's not about, you know, me coming here just to help him. You know, he's going to help me, you know, and we're going to help each other, and we're going to help this team hopefully get to where we want to be at. Some people are built different, and, you know, kudos to them who are like that, but I'm built different. Like I always say I'm the most competitive person I know, and, you know, looking at my wife, she rolling her eyes probably because, you know, some people may say that's a good thing, some people may say it's a bad thing, but I'm ultra competitive, so there's no reason in playing unless you're playing to win. I think Ricky Bobby said it best: if you're not first, you last, right? Right? Straight up. So like we have one goal here, and that's to win.
Do you plan on getting a grill made?
A grill?
A grill. You're in H-Town.
My wife just raised her hand. My wife just raised her hand. Absolutely. No, not a smoker, Coach. Oh, they say for the culture, right? Look, yeah, I'm gonna get him one too.
There may be a cooking discussion to be had. We get cooking with our own Hall of Famer, David Aldridge, kind of to spend a few with us. D.A., Chris Paul, James Harden, conversations between them had to be a big part of leading us here. So how about the adjustments each have to make for this to work?
Well, look, Casey, I mean, I think there certainly will be adjustments. You know, Harden was on the ball all last year, had a historic season, almost was MVP. He's giving that up, basically, for an opportunity to win. And I do agree with Coach in one aspect. I think offensively, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I think great players, when they play with one another, the game gets easier for them, not harder. So whether it's CP3 and Harden or the two of them and Carmelo Anthony, offensively, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. They will figure out how to play off of each other. None of them will, you know, have to deal with double teams every night because the other guy's being double teamed every night as well. So, you know, teams are going to have to pick their poison defensively. So from that standpoint, I think it's going to be fine. My question with the Rockets is at the defensive end. You know, we already saw last year Chris Paul not guarding the other team's elite offensive backcourt player. That's what Austin Rivers did more often than not. James Harden, I think, is a charitable view would say he's not a great defender. So without Patrick Beverley there now to kind of handle that role, I do wonder how they're going to, night in and night out, deal with the myriad lethal offensive players in the backcourt in the NBA. But they may not have to worry about that most nights in the regular season because they're still going to outscore most teams. But that will, in the playoffs, I think, be an issue, and that's the thing that I would look at for the Rockets in terms of, is this a team that's capable of competing for a championship?
You know, Coach, people have joked about how many basketballs are they going to play with. Both like to possess it. You want to get it out quickly, or they're going to have it down the shot clock. Why do you think it's been overblown from a coaching standpoint? Why is it not such a big deal?
Well, it's been overblown because both of them have monopolized the ball. They had their, particularly last year with Harden for the first time. But I don't think it's that big a deal. I think at this point in their careers, the individual accolades, the scoring, the having the ball in their hands is overshadowed, as Chris said in the press conference, by putting themselves in a position to win. Like D.A. said, I think they're going to feed off of each other well. I think they're going to put so much pressure on the defense that, they'll figure out how to guard come playoff time, D.A.'s concerns. But I think for the most part, they're going to put so much, both of them can come off screens, both of them can make shots. Both of them can be facilitators, and both of them are scorers. So I think they complement each other. And with Coach Mike D'Antoni, if anyone can figure out how to make it work, even if you add Melo to the mix, he's the one to do it.
D.A., we talk a lot about Melo and how the fit is. It seemed like the reports were that things had maybe stalled or at least paused when Scott Perry got into place. How long of a settling in process before he now takes over the reins and tries to push forward this Melo deal to Houston?
Well, look, you want his input, obviously. You bring him in because you respect Scott's acumen, you respect his knowledge of the game. And so you want to hear his opinions on things. And I'm sure they know them, but you still want to give him time to kind of take a lay of the land in terms of around the NBA, see if there's a deal that makes sense for Carmelo Anthony that won't require them to take on any major salaries or anything like that. So I don't think it's a matter. I don't think it's like weeks. I think it's a matter of days. I think he'll figure it out. He was in Sacramento, as a GM there, so he knows what people are willing to give up for other players, and I don't think that's a problem. But he needs a day or two just to get his feet wet, just to find a place to live, all those sorts of things. I mean, that does take some time. So, but I suspect that early next week they will once again be engaged in trying to figure out the best way to get Melo down to Houston.
All right, D.A., I appreciate it. Coach, when you look at the Melo situation, I'm in the I don't get it necessarily category because he's a guy who wants to be an isolation player, everybody out of the way. Isn't he going to slow down the pace of the ball movement that both of those two guards are going to want to put together in Houston?
Well, if we get to that point where he's in Houston, my attitude is still the same. I think you put those three guys together and they will figure it out. Now, Melo is slightly different, as you said, because he wants the ball in isolation situations more so than coming off screens, more so than creating and driving and kicking. But if you put those three together, the opposition is going to have a problem.
I would say so defensively. Defensively, the problem might be on the Rockets side as well, as D.A. pointed out. And again, Melo not necessarily a defensive player. The question might be what contracts do they move? And remember, if they move contracts, they get even thinner than this. The depth right now is a lot smaller than what it used to be, considering they sent like 17 players over to the Clippers to get Chris Paul.
Yeah, and that is a concern which they would have to address, particularly with the age of the three superstars that they have. And so they're going to have some young legs, some young bodies, some people with the same attitude as Patrick Beverley, who they no longer have.
It's a great